What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord, Dr. Professor, Dark Joker, here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are Traditional Fans with Opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. One Piece episodes 1130 and 1131. So in these episodes basically, it continued, Kuma's backstory. We saw, some of Kuma's perspective of the God Valley incident where he gets the pawpaw fruit, with help from Ivankov, around when the Rocks pirates and Roger pirates are attacking. Garp's fleet, arrives there to basically go after Roger because that's all Garp cared about. He didn't care about celestial dragons. Very, very openly does not like them, which is why he stays as vice admiral, in the present time. And so we see Kuma get the devil fruit. We see him, Ivankov, and Ginny, who is Ivankov's sister. They escape. They go to Sorbet Kingdom. So basically, Kuma and Ginny they stay at Sorbet while Ivankov, leaves to go to basically, head out to sea, which, ends up with him, joining Dragon and forming, his, their like, resistance group. So Kuma becomes a pastor in the southern part of the Sorbet Kingdom, which is like it's the poor section. And so he basically, uses his powers, heal people of injuries. He grows up. We see there's these time jumps. We see Jenny, who's obviously into him, and there's like thing basically all the men are into Ginny, but like basically she's into Kuma. Everyone knows that. Kuma does seem to be into her as well, and she even proposes to Kuma. Ginny proposes to Kuma, but he says no because of what happened to his parents. Since Kuma has Buccaneer blood inside of him. If he and Ginny were to have children, that child would suffer due to being having Buccaneer blood, and with what happened to his mother. Kuma knows that Ginny would basically become a slave as a result of being married to a Buccaneer, and that's the only reason he didn't want to. He didn't want Ginny to become a slave. Then the king of Sorbet, kind of prick. Basically, he's a prick. Tries to like cut off the south part from the kingdom, basically split off so that the northern half wouldn't have to pay as much of a tribute to the celestial dragons as they normally would have. And they try to take the southerners as slaves. Kuma fights back. He's imprisoned, and Ginny's imprisoned for trying to break him out. And then Dragon and Ivankov appear. They basically stop the king from doing his plan. And then Uma and Ginny join Dragon and Ivankov, which leads to basically the whole with Uma as like one of Dragon's second in commands, along with Ivankov. Basically that's where the Revolution Army goes on full force. Rise the Great Pirate Eras starting, and that leads to a bunch of battles. We see their time jump. Ginny's happy to be reunited with Kuma. And there's a joke how all the men in the Revolution Army seem to be into Ginny, but everyone knows she's into Kuma. And you see one thing to Ginny, you see her mannerisms and appearance being similar to another character, which if you see a title of the next episode, you okay, she's Bonnie's mother. Ginny is Bonnie's mother. That was a theory like around when like Ginny was first introduced. And then once you look, it was like once the time jump happened, everyone was like, okay, that's Bonnie's mother. Yes, Ginny is Bonnie's mother. Now this episode ends with now the episode 1131 ends with Bonnie being captured by the world government. The reasoning why will not be given to next episode, and I've read the manga, so I can tell you it's pretty freaking dark. What happens? It is dark. Like that is one of the darkest things One Piece has done. Like, like when I read it, I was like, "What the frick? What happened?" Like I was surprised, and like no, I get to end like there's a reason Kuma could win Best Supporting Character at next year's Anime Awards. In fact, I'll say there's a reason he should win. Yeah, even because One Piece keep getting snubbed in so many anime awards. Should have won Anime of the Year. People talk about Freren and Soul Leveling. Guess what? One Piece should have won. Let's just put that out there. Anyway, so yeah, I really like these episodes. Looking forward to next week's. Seeing more of the Kuma flashback because that is what me, as well as a lot of people who've read the manga, have been looking forward to the scene just because it's such great storytelling. Yeah. All right. One Piece chapters 1149 through 1150. So, in these two chapters, so first all you see Gabon trying to save his son from Gunko, and basically when Gunko threatens to kill his son, Gabon like surrenders. His basically he's like he's being a father. He's like, don't kill my son, and she like attacks him, like impales him with some arrows, so he's very much injured. And then we see Umu getting really pissed off about what's going on. Like he's like the Holy Knights are taking like the God Knights are taking way too long. He's like he's like what are y'all doing? He's like Mary Jo is burning. You're wasting your time here. And the God Knights all know who he is. They know he's Emu. So they know about Emu. So there's no how long they've known, I don't know whether or not that's just a thing all God Knights know about, or if that's just a recent development with, Garling becoming one of the five elders. Basically, they know who Emu is. And Emu then and one thing happens, Junko sees some memories of like, I guess of her being on this island, being in this kingdom. It's implied that and Brooke notices that she looks similar to someone I guess he knew. So it's implied that Junko was a resident, possibly the princess of whichever kingdom Brooke lived in before he became a pirate. So that's probably gonna be development later. And so right as Junko starts remembering stuff, um, basically Emu takes over her body, which is probably tied to their immortality, which ties into my theory about basically uh all the reason you have all the immortalities of the five elders and the God Knights is that they all became familiars of Emu, like some like devil contract or something, whether forcibly or willfully, who knows. But basically Emu takes over Gunko's body and starts so you see like these like devil wings or something. Then she like attacks, Dory and Broggy's group, turns all of them into like these giant demons. Kind of looks similar to like the ancient giants, which could tie into some potential lore regarding why those giants look the way they do and how the giants could be involved with that first cataclysm in One Piece. Like there's probably some it seems to me at least that the ancient dragons got involved in some demon worship stuff, some demonic stuff, literal demonic stuff. And that's why a lot of the ancient giants looked the way they did. Anyway, So, and we see him start to attack Drool. Drool, and basically a lot of the Earth Giants, they want Drool to run. Drool's like, you don't tell. He's like, you don't tell a warrior to run. So he's ready to fight. So I thought I was like, all right, let's go. So Drool's probably one of the older warriors. But let's see what he does. I mean, I don't know how old he is. I can't remember his age, but he's probably very powerful. And if he's I mean, giants are powerful, but he like Drool's probably powerful. We'll probably see him put up a big fight, or not he lives or dies. I don't know. Would not be surprised if he died. Basically, the reason they're doing that is because those giant demons are attacking him. Is because basically, with the king dead, there's no. It's not known who's in charge. Drool is just the senior official there. He's not necessarily king. So what's going on is so Emu's like Dory Brog. He basically looks at Dory Brog. He's like, "You guys are kings now. Go kill this guy." That's essentially what happens. And basically seeing how he's like the giants. He's like, "We need the giants." So basically, Emu wants to take over Elbath, which that makes this looks like it's gonna be a very big battle. How that will determine, and of course, my guess is Brooke's probably gonna fight, you know, Emu Gunko. So we're probably gonna see all the Straw Hats, start like once Luffy gets back up, once Luffy, Zoro, they all get back up to like where the other Straw Hats are at, and where Loki gets up there as well. We'll see a big fight. Like Loki's probably gonna fight alongside, the other giants and the Straw Hats. And if the red-haired pirates appear, we'll see Shanks again. And that'll lead to a bunch. There's probably a bunch of expeditions drop soon. But One Piece does very well. Exposition drops. But yeah, I really like these two chapters, and I look forward to next week's. News Exorcist chapters 99 through 100. So, in these chapters, we see, Shiroha and Kazusa go with Gakuro through a haunted house, each sharing some moments with him. They get him to confess feelings for someone because they're the two closest. The other girls decide to help him out. Then once they're done, they basically everyone just goes through the haunted house again. And then Suzaku shows up, who's mad at Bakuro's hanging out with girls when he's like allegedly married to Ishu, and with Ishu carrying his child, allegedly. Bakuro confesses that it's all a lie. Suzaku gets pissed off and like puts some ice spell in his heart by kissing him, and then that basically what she says is 5 days you will marry Ishu, then there's gonna be a full contract. Yeah, and it is funny how some of the girls did not know about the whole issue stuff, so they were like they thought Igakuro was scummy or something. I mean that bit was funny, but I'm like, can we get past all this romance stuff and just go to fighting demons, like find some to heal? Like it is dragging on a little bit. It is dragging on, and I'm hoping think we can get around to this being done. But yeah, I mean, these chapters were fine. I mean, they were whatever, but I'm like, can we just get on with the romance stuff and get down to a fight? Looks like with chapter 100, we're finally getting back to some fighting, which is what I want. I want fighting. I don't want some harem nonsense. And so yeah, looking forward to next week. See if what the fighting does. The Elusive Samurai chapters 204 through 205. So in these chapters, we see the end of the defeat of the Konos, where Tokiyuki's group kills all of them, and then they all die. Then we see Takaji's reaction to it. and he basically it's meant to be a purge, and then basically Tokiyuki gives Takaji Kono's final words, you know what Mornow's final words to him were. Yeah, and Suzuka senses a disturbance in his like aura whenever that message is sent. So Tokiyuki's like, next time, basically like, what unsettles that like Tokiyuki is seemingly insignificant, but it'll survive so much, and that disturbs Takaji. And basically tells him next time we'll end it. Like he basically tells Takaji, next time we're finishing this. Yeah. And so like and basically Shizuka decides to come up with a plan to deal with Takaji. And that will like Shizuku will deal with that, and then so she's gonna come up with, I guess, with her being like a divine being. Well, she's mortal now. That's a whole bit, yeah. But like basically, she'll come up with the idea of how to deal with Takaji. I'm interested in seeing how that goes, how the plan goes, what exactly happens there. So yeah, I really like these two chapters. Look forward to next week's. Kagurabachi chapters 80 through 81. So in this one, it's mostly focused on Hakuri, where he's fighting, the Hishaku, you know, trying to protect the Sanuti, and then basically he's trying, because since his magic's weakened from all of his like, all of his injuries and stuff, and so like, he's trying to deal with that while working with some of the other. But then there's like this, I guess some of the Hishaku can transform, like impersonate others, and he basically a bunch of people start getting killed, and he just told don't trust anyone. And like, so he's trying to deal with that while dealing with his weakened powers. And then, you know, it ends like with Uru appearing, and Hakuryu's not knowing if he could trust him, but then we see Uru using his like attack to kill some of Hakuryu's attackers, implying that it's very likely that is the real one. So Hakuryu's like, all right, I can trust this guy. Now, whether or not he actually is trustworthy, who knows? But seeing the way they frame it, it does look like he is trustworthy. Now they could throw it for a loop and say, "Oh no, this guy's fake. They're just willing to kill their own people to fulfill their goals," which is very possible because they're villains. But yeah, I really like these chapters. Look forward to next week's Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi chapters 45 through 46. So in these two chapters, we see Tsurugi, Hijiri's, battle against the first demon lord, Panjichi. And, that whole bit, we see some of, you know, Hijiri's, backstory, before he became a cross paladin. And we see him using, and we see some of his backstory, during the fight after he's very much injured. And we see him using this, like, forbidden technique that's, like, called Excalibur. So, like, a very, King Arthur type thing. And he's able to defeat Tanjichi. And and basically he's weakened, where not like basically he's like but passed out, but he wins the fight. So yeah, I liked it. The Demon Lord was cool. The visuals from the fight were awesome. The artwork for the attacks was incredible. So yeah, I really like these two chapters. Look forward to next week's. Ichi the Witch, chapters 35 through 36. So in chapter in these two times we see Gokuraku and Ichi still dealing with that, with the Bakugamis, acquiring, challenge, whatever. And so Gokuraku deals with all that sorrow taken over the years. We see him like a vision of his sister, becoming depressed and learning that she like had been used as a tool to manipulate the people. Now it's a vision, so it's not real. And we see him get consumed by it briefly, and Bakugami's just enjoying like torturing the guy. Then Ichi like attacks Bakugami, telling him not insult his friend. Then Ichi's able to calm down Gokuraku, who like basically seems to regain control of himself. Remembering what family is like to him as like a stake to like hold on to bring himself back up. And then with him able to, I guess, like seemingly like, you know, basically like, seemingly like, regain control of himself. Looks like we're setting up a final fight against Bakugami. And yeah, that should be cool to see what happens. Ichi acquiring him. I don't think Gokuraku's gonna acquire him. The whole like the plot point of this is Ichi being the male witch, while everyone else is female, all the other witches. So I think Gokuraku would just be an ally. I don't think he'll be a witch. I think Ichi's gonna acquire him. So yeah, I don't know if that's gonna be next week or later week. Next week at the earliest, we'll see Ichi probably acquire Bakugami to help prepare for, I guess, potential fight against the World Hater. And yeah, that should be fun. I really like these two chapters. Look forward to next week's. Embers chapters 16 and 17. So these two chapters we see Yuzu and Narima enter the game between, Kurobayashi and Kosei. And Narima is able to very quickly even the score, like just wreck everyone, like just wreck them. And a lot of people a lot of the players are disheartened when they see it. They start wanting to give up. But High 20 being very stubborn, does not want to give up. It's like, all right, let's go. And so he steps up, starts trying to, you know, play his, his very good defense and get the ball. And he's able to like keep up with Narima. And Narima is very shocked about that High 20 is not giving up. He's used to everyone giving up. But we're seeing like Kaitani just like keep up with him, use his athletic ability. And then you know, basically like since Kaitani is not something he like Narima can predict. Basically like all the other players on Kosei is like, all right, let's see what's going. Like we'll see what happens. Next week. If the game goes. Scores tied right now. So we'll see. How the rest of the game will go. Like we're assuming Kosei wins the game inevitably, but it should be a good game. Good, interesting chapter. So yeah, I really like these two chapters. Look forward to next week's. Start at Beethoven chapters 15 and 16. So in these two chapters, we see the two people that are searching for Beethoven. They come across Yaso and basically beat him up, try to find Beethoven. Then, the girl like finds Beethoven, brings her with them. basically they see Beethoven and Yaso talk to each other. Beethoven asks Yaso what type of pianist he wants to become. Yaso says that when he didn't necessarily like piano growing up, like because it was kind of forced upon him. But like what he tells Beethoven, he wants to be a pianist who can surpass Beethoven. Beethoven, he tells him that music was kind of like what Yaso was, where it was like it was kind of forced upon him as well. But when he lost his hearing, he gained a different type of like appreciation for it. And basically, it was like described it as something that nearly killed him, but also saved his life. And one of the things that the two people who were basically beating Yaso, what they noticed is that how Yaso didn't use his hands to fight back because pianist's fingers are his life, so like he can't like I guess dirty his hands in a fight. And so after that, we see a bunch, practicing. Yaso's practicing with help from Beethoven, and then we're about to see the music festival, like the school festival, start. Which is kind of what a lot of this is being leaned into now. But yeah, I enjoy this chapter. The whole music stuff was cool. I am wondering what the point of these two characters were who were hunting Beethoven. I was like, wait, why did they just let him stay with Yaso? I mean, it didn't really make much sense to me. I was like, what the frick? Is this it? Like, are they actually doing anything? Like, they're so like, are thought they were supposed to be villains? Like, why were they hunting Beethoven? Like, they're just letting him help this random dude like play piano. Basically, like, what's the purpose behind it? Hopefully, that's explained in later chapters. But that's something they actually develop and explain. But yeah, for the most part, I enjoy these two chapters, and I look forward to next week's MobLand episodes 9 and 10, as well as the full season. So yeah, so in these episodes, you know, basically Kevin's just dealing with all the stuff with Rusby, the guy who raped him in prison, and like he's going around trying to find him, and he drives. I don't know, it's like an Uber driver. I don't know what he was doing. Basically, drives him to his house, and then he tells him who he is, and Rusby's revealed to not remember anything. He has, I guess, to his age, and basically, apparently, he's had other similar conversations like this, and he just haven't survived them. And then he then asks Kevin if he has a son, and Kevin just snaps and just shoots him in the head and kills him. And yeah, and so while this is going on, Jaime meets with Conrad, Serafina and Harry. Basically, is like a deal that's set up by Cat McAllister, and then basically, you know, and then like what that does is like basically like obviously doesn't like each other. They don't like Jaime doesn't like the Harrigans. Harrigans don't like Jaime, but they start trying to figure out a way to potentially get a deal worked out. And then with the investigation by the feds going on, by the cops, all that. Basically, Alice goes to the Harrigan's house. Basically, frames Conrad for murder. So Conrad and Maeve are arrested and taken to prison. So that leaves some dysfunction going on. And then like and so and then basically what and then Bella, Kevin's wife, sets up she arranges a meeting with her father and then this home secretary guy, then some Syrian dude, and basically it's recorded. And I'm not gonna. And basically, that's explained in episode 10. It was to basically get her father arrested. Bella. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes out. So Kevin, he like after seeing Rusby's body, basically talks some story about how he learned that Eddie, who he thought for years was his son, is actually the son of Conrad. So it makes Eddie Kevin's half brother. Basically, Bella, Kevin's wife, cheated on Kevin with Kevin's father, Conrad. Yeah. So Eddie is Kevin's half brother. And then Eddie learns about that. Harry had already known. Seems so, you have Eddie and Kevin dealing with all that. Conrad seems to have known, or at least not shown really any reaction to it. So then Harry confronts O'Hara, who's revealed to be a mole, for Richie. And then basically, Kevin like threatens Conrad from when he visits him. Basically says because he's like pissed. He like Kevin's just really messed up right now. And so what Harry does, he has O'Hara like set up a meeting with Richie to set up a fake ambush to like take out the Harrigans. That leads to the Harrigans like Harry like arranges for all the Harrigan like troops to like kill all the Stevenson troops, and then Harry and Kevin go to where Richie and O'Hara are, and they kill Richie and O'Hara. Like very like O'Hara's probably not like a little shocked at being killed, but Harry just shoots her point blank. Yeah, basically it gets us a message to not tolerate traitors. And then so one thing happens before us the beginning of the finale is that Colin, the kind of the older cop that comes in to like negotiate a deal with Richie, pays Alice, like 100,000 pounds for her work infiltrating the Harrigans, but she's captured by Richie's people now. With Richie now being dead, how is that going to play a role? Like, her being captured. Like, is she still held captive? Are the Harrigans going to take custody of her and deal with them and deal with her? Like, if we get a second season, I'm sure that's something that's going to be explained. Yeah, I really like. And then we see Maeve and Conrad have like this conversation before like evidence is able to help possibly get them released. Or Maeve says what her goals were was to test, Kevin, Brendan, Serafina, Eddie, Conrad to see if any one of them was I guess worthy of leading the family. And they seem to make somewhat of a peace. It's hard to say with them. But yeah, I really like these two episodes. As far as this whole show, I really like this show. Starts off a little slow, but it's a very good mobster show. Like Pierce Brosnan, Helen Mirren, Tom Hardy, Patty Constantine, they're all freaking awesome. Like Helen Mirren probably will win an Emmy for Best Supporting Actress in a Drama. I don't think I don't think Best Supporting Actor or Best Lead Actor is going to happen for like Patty Constantine, Pierce Brosnan, Tom Hardy. I don't think that's going to happen for any of them. With Brosnan and Hardy being pushed for Best Lead Actor, they'll split votes. And Patty Constantine, I don't think he'll have the push to be able to get that. I mean, Helen Mirren will, because there's not really I mean, it ain't much of a discussion. It's like, yes, we know for best supporting actress in a drama, we know who from MobLand will be pushed for it. But yeah, I think this was a really good show, and hopefully we get a season two. Go Go Loser Ranger season two, episodes 7 through 8. So in these episodes, Green Squadron is asked to join Red Squadron on killing some kaiju. Then whatever happens there causes Tsukubo to leave the Ranger Force. Then it's revealed that she was basically a spy for the Monster Protection Society, a group founded by her father to basically allow the public persona of it is to allow humans and monsters to coexist. And Hisui and Fire D investigate it because Tsukubo tries to recruit Fire D to it. And then, the basically they turn public opinion against the Ranger Force by exposing how basically crazy Red Ranger is. So during the whole Red Ranger starts trying to change and basically Fire D tries to kill him. And he trips and I guess stabs him accidentally. Oh, no. It's a little weird, but he seems really fine, barely an inconvenience. You know, there and then the basically all the Rangers they unmask themselves in live television to try to get public opinion back on their side. Pink Keeper is able to help a little bit just due to her looks. Say a lot of the men are very attracted to her, and and basically, but Red Keeper screws up a lot with by ripping this dude's art. So Tsukubo's father basically gets part of his arm ripped off by Red Keeper. And Hisui kind of finds the whole thing funny when she learns because she kind of wish she could have seen people's reactions to Red Keeper's personality because she couldn't see because she was held captive by the Monster Protection Society. Fire D pretends to join, and then yeah, and it's revealed that the real purpose of the Monster Protection Society is to turn humans into monsters. It's revealed that a lot of the major members are a part monster. Like Tsukubo's half monster. Yeah. And so there's a lot of stuff where there's also revealed that Yellow Squadron is involved in kaiju research and basically having created some kaiju. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff. Like Yellow Ranger, the dude just sounds freaking crazy. So yeah, definitely some interesting stuff. Green Keeper seems to be very nonchalant about a lot of it. He seems clearly has not told everyone about Fighter D, and who knows how much Hisui knows, especially with the real Sakurama now being imprisoned with her. So that should be interesting. And yeah, I really enjoyed these two episodes. I look forward to the next week's. Nice Prison chapters 5 through 6. So in these chapters, we still see, the group, trying to fight all those, I guess, evil, illegal mascots. And so, yeah, that Wrecking Ball mascot becomes the basically, the replaces the other the regular Wrecking Ball used by, Mitsuboshi, which, kind of, there's some humor that comes from that actually. And then, basically you just see the opinion, and then after he wins, so Mitsuboshi wins a game against one of the illegal mascots, like basic, and that leads to like, and then like, so Mitsuhoshi wins the game. So, but instead of the warden being freed and all that, this one the mascot asked for like power from the super death row prisoner, and so we see like this. There's like this weird cage with like skulls or something on it, and one door, and like you see it's chained up, and seems to be like the super death row prisoner will make his debut next chapter. But yeah, I enjoyed these chapters. You know, thought they were good. They were funny. Looking forward to next week's. Spy Family, chapter 116.1. So this one is like a short mission. So we see Matthew McMahon, the man, your Yuri's manager. We see, some of his daily life. Does a lot of cooking. He cares for his wife, and basically, it's just a daily life thing. I'm pretty sure it's only 6 pages, and then it's just him having a happy life. Being a caring husband. Which something that's obviously very admirable. Just a daily day at work. Goes back home to get some food. Yeah, he knows how to cook. His wife knows how to cook. You know, he's living a very happy life. Despite the type of field he works in as like a basically an assassin, member of the Garden. And so it was an interesting change of pace compared to the previous chapter with all stuff with the poachers. So yeah, I like this short mission. Looking forward to the next chapter to see like more of like the actual poaching stuff going on. That whole like the Garden's mission regarding that. So yeah, look forward to the next chapter. Last of Us season 2, episode 7. So in this one, Ellie regroups with Dina and Jesse, and she tells Dina why Abby and her group attacked Jackson. It was to take revenge on Joel for what happened at the hospital. Dina wants to go home, and Jesse wants to go home. Ellie does not. Jesse's able to put two and together why, Dina's refusing to drink, why she being very careful with regards to medical care. He puts two and together that she's pregnant with his child. And he wants to get his kid back to Jackson. Ellie runs off to basically she and Jesse argue about what would be better. Like Jesse says that he voted against seeing people after Abby because he wanted to. He was his main focus was helping Jackson, not seeking vengeance. Which it's understandable given the state of the world. There are tough calls to make, and then basically Ellie like then runs off to find like to an aquarium because she thinks Abby's there based on what she learned from Nora. And then yeah, so she sees Owen and Mel, who's pregnant, and she points a gun at them, asks for info. Owen tries to shoot Ellie, but Ellie then kills him. The bullet hits Mel, and she wants Ellie to try, I guess, deliver her kid as she is dying, but Ellie is unable to do it, so Mel dies, and the baby dies as well. Yeah. Then Jesse and Tommy arrive. And basically, they all go back to the theater. Everyone's the whole group of four is preparing to go back to Jackson Then Abby arrives. She kills Jesse and then injures Tommy. And she points the gun at Ellie. And we hear a gunshot. We don't see what happens. And then we see there's like a flashback to 3 days earlier. You know, Abby's woken up by Manny, who tells her that Isaac needs him. And so that's supposed to lead to season 3, which is is going to be heavily focused on Abby. Yeah, it's The Last of Us Part 2. Yeah, that's not going to be fun. Yeah, season 3. So yeah, I thought it was a boring episode. I mean, Jesse was bringing good points on why Jackson needs to be. They have to be careful. You can't just go after like they can't just go after like different people like Vengeance. They do have to take their community into account. Ellie says that Joel is her community. And basically, like, what we're going to see is like some of the. So, season 3 is going to be very focused on Abby. We're going to see what all she did leading up to, I guess her holding, Ellie at gunpoint. And basically, like, what's gonna happen now? I'm not gonna say what happens for spoilers, but it's gonna be really freaking stupid. And then what? So, hmm, yeah, it's gonna be very Abby focused next year. I mean, I guess because they know that I guess Bella Ramsey can't carry the show. So instead of, I guess, airing this stuff like side by side, like basically since a lot of it takes place around the same time, instead of showing everything chronological order, so we don't just have a full Abby season. They're doing the how the game did it, which that's gonna hurt the show's ratings. It is. I mean, Dever is a better actress than Bella Ramsey, but it's Abby. People who are aware of the stuff of Last of Part Two know that there's various reasons why people hate it, and playing basically half the game as Abby pissed a lot of people off. And so yeah, this episode was boring, just like the whole show. And yeah, it took him how long to get spores in? It was like, oh, we don't want mask. The mask will not allow us to show emotion. Use freaking cinematography and music to do that. That's what the Mandalorian did in the first season. I mean, it was so retarded. Yeah, I didn't like this. I didn't like this episode. I didn't like this season. I thought it sucked. I mean, the acting is just terrible. It's very monotone. Like, there's a way to do stoic, acting. There is an art to it. But this is it. And Ellie's just sounds pissed off. Just sounds like a cunt the entire time. It's like I don't care. Like it's like there's and even if your main character is like even if you have like morally great characters, dark characters as like your protagonist, you need to basically still do good writing. So even if we disagree with some of their actions, we can still like them as characters, regardless if we like them as people. But that's not what happened. And while this seemed to do a lot more, I guess, gameplay like segments than the first season did. Still not a lot. And yeah, it taking away gameplay segments really hurt the action in the show. And then yeah, it just makes it boring. It's like look, no one wants to hear these people talk because these people can't act. At least not in this show. Not with what they're given in this show. They can't act. It's like, whoop, yeah, can't do much. Like it's very monotone, and it's retarded. Yeah, season 3, everyone. Gonna be the last one because we ain't getting Last of Us Part 3. And if we did, it would lose money. Odor of the Flame, chapters 3 and 4. So in these two chapters, we see Odor start his training, to like control like his fire abilities, so he doesn't like basically burn to death. And so yeah, we see like you know him trying to improve himself so he can fight the Ice Kingdom. And so yeah, we see him improving, dealing with his new mentor as well as some of the other people trained under him. And so yeah, this is it's a good, like it's interesting. So we see a train. I mean, it's a shonen series. Of course, there's gonna be training. But yeah, and basically he's learning more about how they like use his abilities, how they use like heroic vigor as a way to like, which sounds kind of like hockey from One Piece. Like it makes you skin hard and stone, limbs lighter than a baby deer's is the exact description. So it sounds something similar to hockey from One Piece, which should be interesting to explore, like in later chapters throughout this train. And yeah, I like these chapters. And I'll look forward to next week's chapter. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. So, a few months after Dead Reckoning, there's like this cult that worships the entity that infiltrate different parts of the government, law enforcement, all that. Then, like, basically, the world's at threat, nuclear war. And so, like, Ethan, Ethan and Benji free Paris from, custody. They're trying to find Gabriel, and, Grace is sent there by Kittredge to find Ethan. This is Ethan and Grace are captured by Gabriel, who reveals that the Rabbit's Foot from Mission Impossible 3 was like a prototype of or earlier version of the entity, and then it evolved to where it did the whole destroyed the Sevastopol submarine, and so and then basically while Grace and Ethan are chasing Gabriel, they meet up with Theo, one of the agents who had Paris in custody, who basically defected to Ethan's group. You know, meet with Theo, Paris, and Benji to find and then they find this container that Gabriel used to talk to the entity, and Ethan learns where to go. Basically, then he learns that Gabriel's gonna kill Luthen, so he goes to try to find Luther. And then, while he sends the rest to go to St. Matthew's Island near Alaska to get the coordinates for Sevastopol. And then, basically, there's like this nuke that's inside these catacombs, and basically, Luther tells Ethan to go so that he can contain it, because whoever tries to contain the bomb will die. And so Ethan reluctantly leaves, and Luther dies, containing the blast. Then Ethan turns himself into, to Agent Briggs, who's revealed to be Jim Phelps Jr. Yes, the son of the villain from the first movie, who is one of the main protagonists in the TV show. Yeah, there's a reason fans of the show don't like the first movie. And so, like, they have a talk, and they say that Jim is a traitor, like Jim Senior. One of the things that helped the movies is not mentioning that at all. Anyway, but Ethan's able to convince President, Erica Sloan, who's the CIA director from Fallout, basically with letting him take a aircraft carrier and a submarine to get to Sevastopol. And, it's like a lot of circumstances have to happen for the mission to be successful. So Benji basically takes leadership of the group that goes towards St. Matthews, and they meet up with this. They come across, this facility, and then the guy who I guess runs it is the CIA guy from the first movie who basically like so when Ethan breaks into CIA headquarters in the first movie. So one of the analysts that was stationed there was William Donlow. Basically, he was sent to St. Matthews as punishment for what happened, as for letting Ethan steal that list in the first movie. But that led to Donlow being his wife to Pisa. So he basically doesn't have a problem with what happened. But he basically then these Russians are there, and so Benji like this group, and then Donlow and Tapisa they deal with the Russians, and they get the coordinates to Ethan, who fights off like a member of the cult who was on the submarine, like the USS Ohio, and then the crew of the Ohio takes him to the Sevastopol. He gets the Podkova, which could combine with this poison pill that Luther made that Gabriel now has, and basically do something to the entity to trap it, potentially. So they go to this bunker in South Africa where the entity plans to like hide out in once all the nukes are activated. And so there's like this ticking time bomb where gradually more nuclear arsenals are taken over. And basically the Sloan has to deal with like basically pressure of just nuking other people so that damage the US is minimal, even with offering the city like in the US as like a gesture, say, hey, we killed some of our people as a gesture to you. Pretty messed up, but yeah. Sloan decides not to do it, and yeah, and then so Kittredge and Phelps arrive. They lead a team there to like stop the deal between Gabriel and Ethan, and that leads to this nuclear device being like a timer starting. So Donlo, Tapisa, and Theo stay behind to like try to contain it, disarm the nuclear weapon, while Ethan chases Gabriel, while Benji, Grace, and Paris go to this like server room whatever to be ready to trap the entity in this crystal like container whatever that Luther made. So Ethan, after like this dogfight with these like old biplanes, Gabriel dies. Ethan connects the poison pill to Podkova, which allows Grace to one basically after I think it's like 100 milliseconds, Grace times it right and is able to trap the entity, and that disarms all the nukes. So the nukes are all disarmed, and so the world's saved basically by skin to everyone's teeth. Phelps makes peace with Ethan, and then Ethan gets the container, like the glass container that has the entity inside, and basically everyone just like goes off on their own, and that's how it ends. So yeah, I thought it was a good movie. It's not the best. I was like, amongst the good Mission Impossible movies, it's the worst one. So it's better than one and two, which both suck. It's not as good as three. But I would say it's still a decent movie. Like Tom Cruise is awesome. Gabriel, when he's in it, he's good. I mean, I would like to see more of him. I think some scenes could have been shortened. Like the resuscitation scene with the decompression chamber, that could have been shortened a little bit. Like there's a few things, there's a few things you could just shorten a little bit, and to bring the runtime down to like 2 hours, maybe 2.5, instead of like almost three. Yeah, for the most part, I like this movie. You know, hopefully with the Phelps reveal with Jim Phelps Jr., what I'm hoping for is that that is a launch pin to clear the name of Jim Phelps Sr. to to lead into a story of clearing the name of Jim Phelps Sr. because that is something fans of the TV show want. We've been waiting for years. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows that. Even I think even people in the media want Phelps' name to be cleared because people were not happy about what happened. But yeah, I like this movie. Hopefully, we get more that you know are good. Rick and Morty season 8 episodes 1 and 2. So in the first one, so Summer and Morty were in like this matrix. Like basically Rick put him in there as punishment for stealing his phone charger, and Rick fell asleep and forgot, and basically they were trapped in there, and what they thought what in their perspective was 17 years was like a few minutes in the real world. Basically Summer's able to make chargers obsolete, do some power thing that like allows them to escape. And they convince Beth to basically prevent Rick from erasing their memories. And so basically we see like Summer like she had become like a tech entrepreneur and politician. And so she acts very like I guess quote mature for her age, but she just comes across as a cut the entire time. And Beth like is a little pissed, gets a little pissed off after a little bit. And Morty, he was basically he was caught like he was in prison. Then he became a firefighter and a soldier. Basically, he has a lot of PTSD, and he's very good. He becomes, I guess, from the time in the system, he became very good with like tools and stuff. He basically built he and Rick built a tank. Like after like fixing stuff, like they build a tank. Morty, like after enough PTSD, traps Rick in his matrix that meant to tell him Rick to not put people in matrices. And then Morty, like, you know, basically tries to destroy his nuclear power plant. And then basically while like Summer like randomly runs off to like the Santa Fe to hang around these hippies, you know, maybe I guess be closer to nature or something. Beth like these like middle-aged female hippies or something. Now I wouldn't necessarily call 30s middle age, but basically 40 like 40-year-old like women, wine moms, like it's what the publicly is supposed to be. So Beth stays there while Summer and like goes stop Morty, and Summer reveals that she's basically responsible for everything. Like basically, so the war she started it to like her plan to power up, power to get her Mori out of the Matrix, and all this whole convoluted plot of basically instigate doing a false flag thing to like instigate a war between basically since Morty since they both since she and Morty both came from the outside they can't die, so Morty became was a valuable asset since he can't die, and that allowed them to basically instigate this like hunt for Osama bin Chargin. Yes, that's the name. Basically, whatever he was hunted for, like it was a inside job. Yes, yes, I am not kidding. That is what they do. And so like Summer like gets a bunch of money to get a bunch of lithium, and that eventually allows her and Mori to be able to escape that matrix. Then so Rick's able to deal with the nuclear power, like prevent basically a nuclear meltdown, and then Yeah. So yeah, that and then like in the next episode, Space Beth like asks Rick for help. Like basically, Space Beth gets fired from her her I guess resistance group or whatever. It's kind of random. And then basically honestly what basically she fight they basically fight these bugs, all this a lot of these like Federation people. And then yeah, basically they win, they fight it yeah, these two episodes were not necessarily very good. It's not necessarily funny like it used to be. Rick and Morty, like in its first four seasons, Rick and Morty was freaking awesome. Like it was hilarious. Like even the dragon episode, which was weird, it was still funny. But it's like it's very nihilistic. Like Rick and Morty's always been nihilistic, but it was always meant to be a source of humor. But now it's just nihilistic. It's not even funny. Like season five, you had some bad episodes. You still had humor in those, but it was kind of bad in some of those episodes. Like you know, season seven seemed to be like a return to form, like in humor and the quality writing. Season eight is like, what the frick? Like it's not funny. Like it was kind of boring. It's like, where's the humor? Like it is just nihilism. It is not humor. There's no humor here. So yeah, I didn't like these two episodes. I hope the next ones are better because I've seen good Rick and Morty. I've seen really good Rick and Morty. Like I'm hoping it's. I mean, but of course we had the Rick and Morty anime, which is one of the worst things I ever saw. That anime. In fact, they call it anime pisses me off anyway. The fact but if this boring crap is what we're getting, then yeah, that's a problem for the show because there was that 70 episode order done. It was after season two or three. I believe it was season three. So if it's after season two, if that 70 episode order was done after season two, then basically after season eight, there's one more season left, which would be season nine. Now, if it was done after season three, then there's two more seasons left. So season 10 would be the last season then. So basically, after this, we got one. After season eight, we got one or two more seasons at least. Now, I don't think they're gonna. I no, at least I don't think they're gonna go past that 100 episode order, that 70 episode order. But but yeah, hopefully next week's better. You know, I would like to see good Rick and Morty again. And that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you can put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.